Hello everybody, how are you? Welcome back. Today we're doing my review video and sort of final thoughts of the Team Corally Triton, the 1/10 rear wheel drive monster truck. This is a great truck. Now, this thing has its issues out of the box, to be honest, and today I'm hoping to delve into this. Hopefully I'll be able to help out people watching, you know, if you're considering buying one of these things or whatever. I mean, on the face of it, it looks fantastic for the money. You're talking £160 retail for a high-end, well, high-end from the company. Corally is a racing company, does high-end products, and they've only just delved into the basher market. So you're getting a Corally. I mean, it's like saying, oh, you're getting a Lossy or you're getting a Team Associated. It's a high-end product. You're getting it for £160 for a ready-to-run truck with full bearing kit, oil-filled shocks throughout, steel drivetrain, metal gears in the gearbox and everything. It seems like the bargain of the century. It's about £20 or £30 more than an equivalent FTX. You know, it seems like a no-brainer. However, there are problems. Before we get into that, let me just explain the modifications I've done to my one so you get where I'm at. First obvious modifications, these are the Proline trencher tyres on Proline wheels. I think they're Badlands, I'm not entirely sure, I can't remember, but the key point is they're Proline wheels, Proline trencher tyres. Much wider than the original tyres, and they're better. They're much more grip. I've removed the spot lamps, you can see there, because they were just flopping back all the time. Even without crashing, there's the wind pressure was making them flop back, so got rid of them. Every run your spot lamps are pointing up in the air, so it's like, well, get rid of them. It's fine. I mean, you can tighten them up if you like, it's not a problem. Another thing I've done, put a rubber o-ring in the top of each body mount, just because the shell, there's a little bit of a gap between the bottom of the mount and the pin going through the shell, so the shell moves back and forward like that a little bit, it rattles. So this takes it up, no more rattle. Perfect. It's running a Castle Creations brushless system, 4600 kV motor, Sidewinder 3 ESC, it's a sensorless system, loads of power, running on a 2S LiPo. Running a Savox servo. I took the Corally one out. Savox is actually no better, it's slower. It's got slightly more torque, but it's slower, so whatever. I mean, I would, if I'd known the result, I wouldn't have changed it, but anyway, because it's quite a faff to change it on this car. Once you fitting the servo itself isn't too bad, but you've got to run the cables along the side of the light, the runs here and everything. What other modifications have we got here? I've got the Corally HD Servo Saver in there. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, why am I so mixed about this truck as standard? Well, let's talk about the negatives first, okay? We'll start right from the top. The body shell is rubbish. It's so soft, look at this. Look at that there. See the roof there? No pressure whatsoever, it caves in. It's all split here. Oh, I forgot. I've also removed the wheelie bar. Yeah, you're probably screaming at me in the screen there. Remove the wheelie bar. I'll explain why as well. So it's not surprising that this is all split here, because this is the wheelie bar now. However, on the Proline Pro MT, which is the monster truck that this is replacing, purely because you can't really get parts of the Pro MT anymore, which is why I'm selling it. Otherwise I'd keep it because it's a fantastic truck. The body shell is so strong it can run along the body shell all day with no damage. It's night and day. It's night and day. In fact, I'll show you how night and day it is. Here's a Proline, haven't sold it yet, it's very dusty. Look at this body shell. That's a body shell. This is pathetic. It really is piss poor. It looks good, but they need to make it thicker. They need to make that stronger. For a basher, I mean, it reminds me of the HPI Jump Shot body shell. When I first got the Jump Shot, the Mark 1 Jump Shot, the body shell tore the first time I used it. I've had to brace this, you see there, the tape there, and inside it's glued and braced with tape. I am going to do the shoe goo modification, just trying to strengthen this a bit. But for a basher from a quality company, I'm trying to say it properly, quality product, body shell should be better. The biggest weakness of this truck as standard is the Servo Saver. It's appalling. It's terrible. To explain, in case you don't know, Servo Savers have a little bit of movement in them, a little bit of flex. Theoretically, they're only supposed to engage once you have a crash. So for example, if you're driving straight and the servo is straight, the servo is electronically trying to be straight, because if you turn it, it gives a signal to turn, and then if you release it, it goes back to the center again. So it's, although it's relaxed in the center, if you try and move it, it'll fight against you. It's trying to be straight electronically. So what happens if you crash the truck? The wheels might suddenly jink to the side like that, okay? It might poof. But then the servo isn't turning, it's going straight. So it'll force the servo to go against what it's trying to do, and that can strip the spline on the servo, that can ruin the internal gears of the servo, or if you've got a very strong servo, maybe you've got a metal geared servo, whatever, it might cause other damage along the steering link somewhere. The point is, it can save components just to have that little bit of flex. If you bang, you crash the wheels, the Servo Saver can take up the slack, take up a bit of the energy of that impact and save the components, hopefully. The problem is, the Servo Saver on this truck is so poor that it activates while you're turning normally. So even when I first tried the truck, I tried it once, brushed out the box with the standard wheels and tyres, and the turning circle was enormous because it just would not turn, especially if you've gone from a left to a right turn or a right to a left turn. If you've gone the entire range of motion, so the truck's leaning one way and then it tries to go the other way, it just opens the Servo Saver up, and the turning circle is just enormous. It just will not turn. And it completely ruins the driving experience. Completely. So Matthew and I took the Servo Saver to pieces, and there's the internal spring, it's like a horseshoe shape. We compressed it, put some plastic spacers in, rebuilt it, keeping the spring under more tension, and it helped a bit for a little while, but then it started to wear out. Then the problem was compounded by the fact I've got a brushless system in it, there's more speed, and these bigger, wider, more grippy wheels and tyres meant that there was a lot more leverage on the Servo Saver. So there was a video I was doing where I was literally approaching the camera at full chat, and it looks like I'm driving straight, but I promise you, on the footage I'm going straight, but I had it, the command on the transmitter was to take a full turn. I was trying to make it turn, and it was going in a straight line. And it was that bad. I mean, I could have belted the camera. You know, it was just rubbish. When it got to the point where it was going in a straight line when you try to turn, it's just ridiculous. I cannot believe that Servo Saver made it to production. I cannot believe that was accepted under testing and they thought it was all fine. It's appalling. It's utterly appalling. It should not happen on any RC, especially a good product from a reputable company like Corally. So, I fitted the Corally HD upgrade Servo Saver, which is a massive improvement. Now it works properly. It's still a little bit of movement in it, but that's fine. It's a monster truck, it's a basher. And it responds to steering now, and it will still absorb some impact, so I'm happy with that. The thing is, it's listed as a upgrade part for this model, but it isn't really. It's universal, and yes, it fits on this model, but the mounting holes for the steering links here, the mounting points in here on the Servo Saver are on a different location than the standard one. So you could fit it and mount it up, but the steering geometry would be changed by that. So what I did is I drilled 2 new holes through this new Servo Saver and mounted it exactly the same as it was on the original one, so that the geometry was the same. So it's a universal part. It's not really a straight fit for this truck. You can fit it straight away, but alter your steering geometry. The problem with drilling it is there's not a lot of space there, so there's, you know, this is the edge of it. You drill it through, there's not a lot of material there left to stop it snapping, snapping through from the hole. So hopefully it's, I mean, I've done a few runs and it seems fine, so hopefully it's okay. That's appalling. The Servo Saver is appalling. Right? There's no getting away from that, there's no excusing that. That should not happen. The other major problem I had, not as bad, where when out of the box the shocks weren't working right. The shocks were not working right. One of the 2 front ones, I can't remember if it was left and right, was noticeably slower than the other, and the whole thing didn't feel like it was damping properly. So I thought, okay, no problem, I'll service them. Looked on the instruction manuals, and the instruction manual recommended 1000 CSP oil, right, which is the thickness, the viscosity. 1000 CSP is equivalent to Team Lossy, which is what I use, 80 weight. It's around about Team Associated 78 weight or 75 weight or something. Heavy oil. And that's what I recommend on the book, so that's what I did. And the first video I did afterwards, you could see in the footage it was way too stiff. The suspension wasn't really operating properly at all. It was shocking rather than absorbing impacts. It just wasn't functioning right. So, okay. What I didn't realise is I'd gone down a bit of a rabbit hole. So I took the shocks apart again, cleaned them out. 50 weight. Didn't feel any difference with 50 weight. Hang on, something's wrong here. So I looked inside, and it turned out that the shock pistons, you know, at the top of the pistons you've got the disc and they've got the holes drilled in it or machined in it to let the oil pass through, you know what I mean? So you've got the shock body, and inside's got the piston up and down like that, and the top of the piston you've got the holes. They hadn't formed properly on the production. There's 4 holes, and I'm going by memory here. One shock had 1 hole not formed properly, 3 were fine. 2 shocks had 2 and 2, and 1 shock had 3 formed right and 1 not, or 3 not and 1 fine, whatever was the opposite of the first one I just said. The point is, none of them were made properly. So I took a small drill bit and made all 4 open properly. I didn't drill them bigger, I just opened them up. And all of a sudden the shocks were working right. But 50 was still too heavy. I've settled on 30 weight. Now 30 weight is not much more than a third of what's recommended in the manual. Plus the shocks are now working right, whereas they weren't working right from the box. So that's another big issue. Again, that should not happen. Not from any RC company, but especially not from a company like Corally. They know their stuff. They do race products. They've won world championships. They know their stuff when it comes to shock absorbers. Why on earth is it recommending an oil that's clearly way too thick for this truck? Clearly way too thick. And they aren't formed properly. So, really not acceptable again. If this was a very dirt cheap bang good special or something, then yes, okay, I would accept that more. But not from Corally. It's just not acceptable. Those are the 2 worst problems over with. The next problem I have is to do with the fact that this truck is clearly designed and meant to take a lot of power. You know, okay, it comes with a brush system, but there is a brushless version available. But they've got the full metal drivetrain. They're talking about steel drive shaft. They've got the metal gears. They're clearly boasting about the strength of the drivetrain, and they say, look, throw whatever you want at it, it can take it. This is a tough truck. Great, perfect. So the wheelie bar comes at about that sort of angle. I've removed it, which means you can only get about that much angle on it. It's adjustable, but it actually comes at the highest height, which means if you put a lot of power in it, like they're trying to encourage you with this strong gearbox, and what I've gone here, it would bang instantly, like wallop off that wheelie bar, because it should be up here somewhere, like on a HBI Savage, rather than down here. So you want to be able to be up here rather than there, because it's just going to go bang, and it hits off the ground and it sends the truck tumbling. On the brushed system, it was alright. I mean, it still walloped it pretty hard, but it was okay. I've never seen the brushless version going, but it isn't as powerful as this system. And I'm guessing it's probably going to cause a problem. What I did is I fitted links. I removed that part. There's a sort of big chunky plastic part. Removed it, used links instead, and got more angle. And it was okay, but even still, on a rough terrain, one of the little wheels on the wheelie bar would hit before the other and still send the truck tumbling. You really want to get it, because by the time it gets to this sort of height, a lot of the energy has been reduced, so it doesn't hit it quite as hard. And yeah, it's not so bad. The wheelie bar needs a bit of a redesign. It's not bad, you can remove it or whatever, but if you're encouraging people to fit massive amounts of power in your truck, you really should have a wheelie bar that doesn't send it. What will happen is it'll hit there and it'll just nosedive the truck and make it tumble end over end every time it hits the wheelie bar at speed. Just a very small tweak could sort that. It's not a big deal, but like the Proline Pro MT just has a back bumper rather than a wheelie bar. Flat bumper, really this could benefit with something like this at the back. This would be perfect, just like the Proline, just to sit happy, run along the back bumper, because you know this is the sort of truck that's designed to take a lot of power. This doesn't have plastic gears in there. The whole point is throw power at it, it's going to take it. Well, the Wheelie Bar can't, so just a small thing, but something that should really be addressed, I think. Okay, I mentioned power. The Proline Pro MT, which I'm selling, as I said, and this is replacing, as I said, had this power system in it, as I said. And I run them on 2S lipos, as I said. I've got a big selection of these. These are the Overlander 3250 Sport Packs. Pretty well priced lipos, good quality, hard wearing, hard case. Lots of people use these. Common, because they're good lipo. But with this power system, you don't get much runtime at all. I mean, you'll get under 10 minutes with this power system. That's what I used to have in my Proline, and it immediately went, that's not long enough. So I bought this Fleurion. This is an 8,000 milliamp hour battery. And with this, I get a good, reasonable runtime with it. Happy with the runtime I got with this thing. Okay, so I was like, right, fine, I'll use it in this truck as well, because it's the same power system, and I got a good runtime out of it, and all is well. All is not well. It doesn't fit. It does not fit. Okay. It's clearly a smaller battery tray than the Proline. That's fine. I have this one. It's also Fleurion. This is a hard case. Considerably smaller. 5200 milliamp hour. Not as big, but still pretty good. Doesn't fit. Great. This fits, the 3250. There you go. Less than 10-minute runtime. Great. And these, like I said, these are almost nickel hydride sized actually. They're very small lipos. And the whole rounded edge thing is designed to fit into nickel metal hydride designed chassis. This doesn't fit into classic Tamiya's because it's about 3mm too long. So things like the TL01, which have the clamps that come on the other side, does not fit. Lunchbox does not fit. So classic vintage Tamiyas that are designed specifically for nickel metal hydride batteries, this will not fit in. This Core RC one does. This is exactly the same size as a nickel metal hydride, so this does fit in all your classic Tamiyas. And it's what I use in this. See, fits perfect. 4,000 milliamp hour, okay? It's okay. I get about 15 minutes runtime. It's okay. I've got two of these. I can charge them both, but that takes twice as long as charging one of these, because you charge these at 4 amps, charge these at 8 amps. For the same runtime, got to charge it twice, and then the faff of swapping them over. So, I mean, this is a very small complaint really, but you've got LiPo technology moving forward, battery technology moving forward, brushless technology moving forward. You've got a truck designed, clearly designed to take a ton of power with your full metal drivetrain, but you've put a battery tray in it designed to fit basically nickel metal hydrides. It's not a massive issue because you do get LiPos that fit with reasonable-ish runtime. I mean, if I had a less powerful system in it, I'd get more runtime. But of course, you're encouraging a powerful system with all this strong drivetrain. That's what you're encouraging. Why have you designed a battery tray that doesn't really fit big batteries then? This is a little bit, it seems maybe a little bit nitpicky, and I am being a little bit over harsh on the truck, but it seems to be counterproductive. Let's design a truck that can take masses of power, but at the same time, this same truck can only take small batteries. Seems to be a bit contradictory. It should be designed with a bigger battery tray in mind. That's all I'm saying. Just be warned, if you are thinking about buying this truck, your batteries, your LiPos, might not fit in it. You might need to buy new ones. You might not be, but it's just worth bearing in mind. That's all. Yeah. I know I'm being a bit harsh because, you know, there's a lot of great design in this truck, but it seems to fall flat in just little simple things, and that's the sort of thing that shouldn't be the case. Now the longer wheelbase version, the Moxu and the Mammoth, probably have a longer battery tray as well, but I don't know. I can't comment on that. Maybe Rich, I know you've got a Mammoth, maybe you could let me know. So we're almost at the end of my little list of complaints. Just a couple more little things. The spur gear cover doesn't come with a bung. I've used a Team Lossy bung there. It's just to stop any grit and dust whizzing around in the spur gear and the pinion gear. Why they don't come with a bung is beyond me. There's also a hole drilled in the bottom. I've covered it with a Castle Creation sticker. No idea why they would bother doing a sealed spur cover and then leave a big hole in the end of it. A lot of manufacturers do that. The HPI Jump Shot did that. No idea why. Just don't. Just include a bung. How much does it save you not have a rubber bung in it? So yeah, include a bung for goodness sake. And I can't comment on the wheels and tyres, the standard wheels and tyres, because I only used them once brushed and they seemed absolutely fine. However, word of warning from Rich with the Mammoth, he said that they very quickly destroyed themselves. The wheels destroyed themselves on his one, so it could be that there's a question mark over quality of the wheels. I don't know. So, the shocks are rubbish, the Servo Saver is rubbish, the Wheelie Bar is not very good, the battery space is rubbish, and there's little niggly things that hold it back. So it sounds like you flat out shouldn't buy this truck. There's plenty of reasons not to. But the one reason that you should buy this truck is it's absolutely brilliant. I know I've said a lot of negative stuff, but the amount of abuse this truck can take is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. This thing's had some crazy crashes. The only thing I broke was the wheelie bar, because I was landing it on the wheelie bar on a hard surface, and I've removed the wheelie bar now anyway, because it's, frankly, like I say, it's not really well designed. If the wheelie bar was more upright and less out, then it wouldn't have broke. It's just that the impacts were, you know, if you had it at this sort of angle, it would have been okay, it would have just bounced. The wheelie bar does need a redesign. But that's the only thing I broke, and I've given it proper abuse. I'm to the point where I'm pretty sure the Proline Pro MT would have broken. So when it comes to bashing 1/10 scale monster trucks, I have not come across a 1/10 scale monster truck better than this. I'm going to give it joint equal the Pro MT because that's just conjecture. The Pro MT might have been able to survive. The Pro MT certainly has, you know, the size of these arms are massive, but the Pro MT ones are even bigger. So there are certain parts of the Pro MT that are even stronger than this, but parts of this are stronger than the Pro MT. So, and considering the Pro MT was about, what was it, almost when it was new, this was the two-wheel drive version that isn't for sale anymore, it was almost £400 with no electronics, and this is 160 ready to run. The value for money is incredible. I mean, you just need to look, I mean, look how tough all this is. It's incredibly tough. The bearings are great. The shocks, okay, I had to fix them, but they're big bore shocks. They've got lots of nice progressive movement. They don't leak. They've got shock guards, and they're protected where they're mounted. They're protected. They look like a camber link. Oh no, actually they're not really camber links, so they're not adjustable. Top links we'll call them. Look at that. Look at these top links. I'll get that on the camera. Look at that. That's a top link. That's like a 1/8 top link. Once you sort it, it's an absolute hoot to drive. Once you sort the Servo Saver out, once you sort the suspension out, this thing is great to drive. It's a bit of a handful because of the short wheelbase. It's really twitchy, and it's constantly wanting to wheelie, even when I've geared it up to the point where the motor gets really bloody hot. So anyway, but it's still wheeling all over the place. If it's going to be slightly too twitchy for your taste, to get the longer wheelbase version, the Mammoth or the Moxu, it's the same truck with a longer chassis, same suspension components, same steering components, same drivetrain, everything, just, you know, blah blah blah. Different body shell, different wheels, and different wheels, maybe the same tires, I'm not sure. Different length chassis, maybe more battery space, I don't know. But once you sort it, this thing is an absolute beast. It's a hoot to drive. It takes an absolute massive amount of abuse. It puts a big smile on your face, and I absolutely adore it now. I absolutely adore this truck now. So should you buy it? Well, yeah, only if you're willing to fix it. Only if you're willing to put the better Servo Saver on it and buy that, and to fix the shocks and do what you want with the wheelie bar. Just be warned, if you put a lot of power in it, it will hold you back. Silly little things like, oh, there's no bung. Silly little things like they've had to include little packers on the drive shafts and the dog bones because they're not quite long enough. will fit 5mm longer dog bones in. What Corally should do, rather than expect the owners to do all this, because they really shouldn't. Corally have been really good with, I've seen on forums online that with the bigger, newer stuff like their Dementor 6S and the big 6S bash and things, they've taken customer feedback into account and they've made alterations and they've given reduced price or free upgrades to people based on feedback, and they've been brilliant with their customers. They really have been. Corally, there's no fault to them whatsoever with their customer service. If they're willing to do the same with their cheaper 1/10, which, I mean, okay, there's less profit margin, I get that, but they should be willing to support all customers equally, really. And what I would say is, Corally, please make these very small, very easy changes. 1, increase the strength of the body shell, make it thicker. 2, give more adjustment on the wheelie bar, allow it to sit up further. 3, please ensure quality control on your shock absorbers are kept to a higher standard than they are currently, because they're not working. And then it's not just me. I've had feedback from other people several times, from different people saying, yeah, my shocks are sticking, mine aren't working right. So there is a problem there. Please sort that out with your shocks. 4, Servo Saver. Design a proper one. Make an HD version like this HD one, but for this truck, the geometry fixed properly. The Servo Saver is the most critical part. It ruins the truck. As standard, this is a terrible truck to drive. Out of the box, this truck sucks to drive, right? I'm not pulling any punches here. It's rubbish out of the box, purely because of the Servo Saver. Sort the Servo Saver. That's critical. You need to come up with that. It's wrong to expect the customers to have to buy an upgrade part purely to have enjoyment out of the truck you've sold them. And maybe think about increasing the length of the drive shafts by, say, 5mm. Stops them falling out without packers. None of mine have fallen out because there are packers there, but you know, it's a bit of a yeehaw cowboy way of sorting it. Just give them slightly longer drive shafts. And look at possibly increasing the size of the battery you can fit. I don't know how you would do that without changing the wheelbase of it, but just a little niggly thing there that holds it back slightly, because you know, these are small lipos and these are the only ones that fit. This is typical, and this is typical, and they don't. So yeah, just a few issues. If you're willing to fix this truck, go ahead. If you're willing to put the time in just to fix it up, I've done the R&D for you. Now you know what to do. Just crack on. It's great fun and you won't regret it unless you get annoyed by the twitchiness, in which case buy the longer wheelbase. And you know, I'm just going to strengthen the body shell and everything will be good. And you'll find that this is probably my favourite 1/10 monster truck. Maybe. I still have a real soft spot for the Proline Pro MT because it was flawless from the off. Had no weakness. This is great now, but yeah. But the difference is the Proline Pro MT, you go off a jump and you go, please don't brake, please don't brake, please don't brake. Everything's so expensive. It cost me 60 quid for some links. Oh, thank goodness it survived. Whew. Whereas this, you're just like, chuck it, it'll be fine. Doesn't matter. Parts are available, parts are cheap. You got the support there. Hopefully this will be sorted. And yeah, go for it. If you're willing to fix it, go for it. If you object to having to fix it, I get that. I don't know where else you'd look to be honest. There's no other 1/10 scales rear wheel drive monster trucks on the market that really tickle my fancy. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye. No Disney.